Total Sports Zone. All sports, all action, one zone.
You know, in the world of sports, it feels like everything just boils down to two things, right? Winning and losing. The scoreboard is king, the final score is the final word, and well, history is written by the winners. But what happens when a leader, staring down a truly crushing season-ending loss, decides to talk about pride? Not failure, but pride. That's the story we're getting into today.
I mean, think about the huge landscape of professional sports. You've got these absolute titans, these dynasties, storied franchises like the Boston Celtics who've built legacies over generations. And then you have teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, who are basically the architects of a whole modern era, capturing everyone's imagination. Or teams like the Los Angeles Dodgers. Each one has legions of fans who live and die by every single game. For every single one of them, the pressure to win is just... it's immense. It's this constant hum under the surface of every single season. But today, we're actually not talking about our championship parade. We're going to focus on one team, one game, and one very, very unexpected reaction from their leader. Okay, so let's set the scene. It's a post-game press conference. The San Francisco 49ers have just been knocked clean out of the playoffs. Their season is over. And head coach Kyle Shanahan steps up to the microphone. What's everyone expecting? Disappointment, right? Frustration. But what he said next, it just caught everyone completely off guard. Extremely, extremely proud. Wow. Not just proud, but extremely proud. In the immediate aftermath of a blowout loss, that statement just doesn't seem to fit. It doesn't make sense. It kind of creates a puzzle. And to solve it, we first have to understand just how bad this defeat really was. And look, this wasn't just any loss. This wasn't some hard-fought battle that came down to the final seconds. Oh no, this was a demolition, a complete and total rout at the hands of their division rival, the Seattle Seahawks. The final score was 41-6. That's a 35-point margin in a do-or-die playoff game. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This is the kind of score that ends careers, sparks massive rebuilds, and leads to some very angry headlines. Which, of course, brings us right back to that central question. How could a coach watch his team get dismantled like this and feel pride? What on earth was he seeing that the scoreboard wasn't showing us? To really get the disconnect between the results and his reaction, let's break down exactly how badly this game went for the 49ers. Because it was a total disaster from literally the first play. The collapse was immediate, and it was total. On the very first play, the opening kickoff, the Seahawks' Rashid Shaheed returns it 95 yards for a touchdown. So before the 49ers offense even touched the ball, they were already losing. By the end of the first quarter, it's 17-0. The team's entire offensive game plan, which was built on running the ball, had to be completely thrown out the window. And by the end, it was so out of hand that they pulled their starting quarterback, Brock Purdy, from the game. And the pressure on the quarterback, it was just relentless. Brock Purdy was sacked twice, hit 5 times, but the real story is that he was basically running for his life on nearly every drop back. And now look at this last bar. This is so crucial. Purdy, the quarterback, was the team's leading rusher with just 37 yards. When your quarterback is forced to run more than your actual running backs, it means your entire offensive plan has been completely and utterly dismantled. Now, to put this all into perspective, this wasn't just a bad day. This was historically bad. This 35-point blowout was the franchise's worst loss in over a decade, going all the way back to the 2015 season under a totally different coaching staff. This wasn't just a loss. It was a statistical anomaly. So we've established the scale of the disaster, right? A historic playoff defeat. And yet, the coach felt extremely, extremely proud. So now, let's solve the puzzle. Let's look at the rest of what Coach Shanahan had to say. And there it is. That's the context. The crucial point is that his pride wasn't about the 41-6 score. It wasn't about that one terrible game. His message to the team in the locker room was intentionally not about that night. It was about the entire journey. It was about the whole season. See, this completely shifts our perspective. Shanahan wasn't judging his team on one final disastrous result. He was making a really strategic leadership decision to measure them by a totally different metric, their resilience over the long haul of a grueling season. So what we're really seeing here is a deliberate choice. He's choosing to define success not by the final box score, but by character. He's choosing to reinforce the team's culture, reminding them that their value as players isn't tied to one bad night. By zooming out and looking at the entire body of work, he's actually building a foundation for the next season, one that's based on loyalty and perseverance, not just the final score. And that leaves us with a really provocative question that goes way beyond the football field. In sports, in business, in our own lives, how do we measure success? Is it only about the final outcome, the win or the loss? Or is there value, and maybe even pride, to be found in the struggle, in the effort, and in the resilience it took to get there, even when the final result is a devastating